There we go. Hey there, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
And everyone, if Nick's mic cuts out, he's having cabling issues.
Yeah, new hotel. I change hotels again tomorrow, so the whole town is booked up. So had to settle for a third-rate option.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
what do you got in store for us tonight, Nick?
Oh, well, I see Bert's on there. The importance of male friends. So I knew Bert back up into like was it like second or third grade? So we go back a ways. But the importance of male friends. Now, why the importance of male friends? Why did that thought come up? Is because I was on Pearl's show, was it yesterday, and we're talking about should men marry their best friend, or should you marry your best friend in general? And I said, of course, no. And the problem is, you also, by doing so, you're actually losing an important aspect of your life, that of your male friends, because for a man, a female can never replace your best friend, your best male friend. Not ever. It's a whole different dynamic, and she'll lose respect for you. The hierarchy's ruined, and you'll be put yourself in the friend zone. And then you'll lose your other friends because it's like, oh, I'm your friend. Why do you need to hang out with them? Then you lose that important aspect of that camaraderie, the important aspect of that friendship where you build each other up, build each other up, cut each other down, you know, crack jokes, get thick skin. You lose that, and then you lose your frame. You become weak.
Well, do you want a woman treating you like she treats her other friends? I mean, is that really what us guys are after?
No.
Oh,
Hell no.
okay. There's something implied there.
None of that.
How does she treat her other friends? Can you answer that, Plutarch? Because you asked the question.
Yes, it was a leading question. Women, I'm reminded of the old Married with Children quote. Women know and understand other women, and they all hate each other. Look, if you want your woman to hate you, treat her like you're a friend. Women don't have friends for the same reason that men do. They don't. They use them for different things. And I am using the word use here intentionally. Women use their friends.
Is that in general or just most?
I don't think I've ever seen a female have a successful long-term relationship. And I have stories from growing up of friends that have existed my entire life since I was born. My parents had them, and eventually the relationship between the two women broke down. The two guys still get along great.
Here's the dynamic. A woman, let's say your woman, fictitious your woman, has a friend named Becky. And they get on the phone and they get together and have coffee or whatever, and they talk and talk and talk. And Becky has a problem. Oh, you don't believe my husband, blah, 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 and this is what's going on. And then your woman says, oh, yeah, well, oh, yes, I understand. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. Yes, it's all their fault. And they yammer and they talk about nothing for another 45 minutes, and then they maybe cry a little bit or whatever. And then your woman comes home and she says, "You can't believe what's going on with Becky. She's such a bitch. This is what's going on in her life." And then she calls up her other friends and talks about how messed up Becky is. But the next time she sees Becky, "Oh, and how are things going now? Oh, I hope you're doing better." So it's completely two-faced. Now,
So
am
I
I overstating this?
no, and
Oh.
I ask again, men, is that really the kind of relationship you want with your woman? Really?
You want to be
Okay.
in that zone?
Now, let's go back to husband and wife dynamics. How many wives, when they're out away from their husbands, complain about their husbands to other women?
All of them?
No, the sisterhood, team
Okay,
woman or team man.
so okay, when he's not around, they're backstabbing. But the difference with
Well, if
a
he's out of
man and a
frame, if
woman,
she's not aroused and he's out of frame, then they backstab, right?
right? But even when he's telling her his issues, is she really empathizing or
Hell no.
soothing him?
No.
No, she
They
doesn't
say
even
they
do
want
that for
that.
him.
That's the chick crack. They all say they want that, but no. That's what they say, but the behavior shows disgust. Am I
So
right?
when you rely on a woman as a friend, you're really not, well, first of all, the introspection and understanding the issue is you can't go as deep. It'll be superficial. Then if you had any part, the man, let's imagine me talking to a woman and or my wife and saying, "Oh yeah, here's what's going on at work." Number one, "Oh, is your job at risk?" Yeah, probably not, but I'm pissing some people off or I fucked up or whatever. "Oh, you're risking our security." Stop with that. Here's the issue. You can't get off of, "Oh, how's it going to affect me?" And then if you admit any failings, faults, blame, accept the blame. Oh, she's going to remember that because that's evidence that you're
Steve,
not the man for her. You're not
Steve,
the best man. Yeah.
Steve, this is what happened to me. When I was a pastor, I stirred shit up. I was going after the feminists. They were trying to cancel me. They were calling people in my church, calling my phone all the time, leaving messages, nasty stuff, just nasty, leaving nasty reviews, you know, reporting me on Twitter several times. Oh, and man, I mean, the presbytery came after me. Like, oh, just say this. You know what? I'm not sorry for what I said. I'm not going to repeat it here, but yeah, in a just society, I wouldn't have a problem with that happening. So all of a sudden, oh, what do you think's going on in her mind? Oh,
Insecurity.
his
Oh, we
career is
got,
at risk. And
yeah.
right, what you're talking about.
But what happened? Well, number one, Nick's no longer a pastor. He lost that job. He was shit canned, run out of town. Well, he resigned, but
Yeah.
he resigned before they were gonna tar and feather him.
Oh, they're
But
definitely going to do that. Now they hate me.
you know what? He got another job. And he's making more money now than he was as a pastor.
Well, I was never doing it for the money.
Which was part of
And
her
Never
you
did.
problem.
know what? He's not gonna starve. If he was close to starvation and his family was close to starvation, his dad's got a little bit of money, and I'm sure dad would come through to make sure no one starved to death. So, all in all, there's nothing to fear here. Nick
No,
is smart enough that he can say, okay, well, yeah, it's going to take me a couple months to regroup or whatever, but I'll find
pretty
something.
much.
And hey, life moves on. And you know what? The security that a woman has should be in her man, not in the
Mm-mm.
job that her man has. So when she
No.
gets all
In fact, it took
fearful,
me a week. In a week. It took me 1 week. It took me 1 week. And here I am.
That's how it's done, fellas. I don't think she left you just over your job, though.
no.
No.
Hey, but that's another good reason for male friends. You keep track and you have friends and you have good friends that you don't talk to in 2-3 years.
Yeah,
And you
Bert's
call
one
them
of
up,
them. So we've reconnected. So yeah, he called me up.
but you call them up and
Yep.
say, hey, I'm looking for something.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, I got a position here because they know that you're a man of integrity and you can get the job done. They may offer you a job or they may say, hey, I know somebody who's looking for someone with that, a good person. Those connections are very valuable. And that comes from male friendship.
Right.
And so we're 12 minutes in and we already have a key point here. And the key point is that your male friends are going to be the best shot you have of getting bailed out of a bad job situation. And this is
Yeah.
true. This is true for me too.
It's
In
important to have a circle of male friends.
yes, critical.
And that could end up being part of your family as you mature. Like your father, your stepfather, your brothers, your cousins.
Yes. I actually
Because
do
they'll tell
count.
you.
I
Tell you
do
the truth.
count. I count one of my brothers and my dad as close friends.
Yeah.
And they
My
have
dad was
helped
a
me
little
out.
disappointed the other day. So I hang out with my dad a lot. He tells me a lot of crap. We don't always agree, but we have a good time. He was a little disappointed. He wanted to go to the Iowa State Texas Tech game the other day. But there was something else. He didn't want to risk something else that was scheduled. But yeah, it's interesting though. So the red pill talks about the importance of friendships. Now, we can start there. I get we can. I'll put that on the screen. I'll scroll down. Well, you see there. Yeah, why can't we be friends? Blah blah blah. Okay, so the red pill. We talk a lot about friendship. It's kind of ironic, though, don't you think, guys? Why? Because sometimes they get into the most retarded fights amongst themselves. Egos sometimes are, as I said in my notes, are too easy to bruise. There's always some bad apples in a bunch, and you should mark and avoid certain ones. But notice what these bad apples do. They act like the nasty women. They use their poison to get clout, and then they separate friends. It's a divide and conquer tactic. Rollo himself talks about that. He says, divide and conquer in our post masculine, feminine primary social order. It doesn't take a red pill lens to observe the many examples of how the feminine imperative goes to great lengths to destroy the intrasexual tribalism of men. Since the time of the sexual revolution, the social press of equalism has attempted to force a commonly accepted unisex expectation upon men to socialize, interact among themselves in the same socially correct way that women do. And that's Rollo Tomassi and the rational male positive masculinity.
Now, in these disagreements, and hey, I've had some heated discussions, or well, they're not quite arguments. They come awfully fucking close. Maybe they are. And it can get really heated and nasty. Because you know what? It's always their fault. My friends are always being the fuckhead. Anyway,
Sure.
um,
We were talking about that before.
sometimes after a day or two, you just let it slide and you pick up where it left off. Now, sometimes a man gets more. Men get butthurt too. And sometimes it might take a week or two. And if a guy kind of was out of line, yeah, generally, most of the time, he's going to come back after a week or two and say, yeah, I kind of miss our friendship. I was an asshole there. I apologize for that.
Well, Steve,
But go ahead.
I was just going to say, what you're saying here is that men tend to be aware of the fact that they're being assholes, but I don't think that women are aware of it.
Not in the moment, but in retrospect, yes.
Okay.
Oh, you think so?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, not in the moment. I'll be an asshole in the moment, but I'll think about it afterwards. Gee, was I
No, we're
wrong?
talking about women.
Yeah, about women.
Women, though.
Oh no, women, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
that would
there we
be. We're getting in that nasty A word here. What's the nasty A word that women don't like?
Oh, there's a lot of A word that they don't like.
Accountability.
They're allergic to
Oh.
accountability.
So I was no, can't say it. Just like Fonzie on Happy Days.
That's a
He
throwback.
couldn't say the word I was wrong. Women have a hard time. I kind of took the wrong idea, but here's why I did it, and I did it for all the right reasons.
Funny enough, you say that, Steve. Elena and I had one of those last night. She got taken to task a little bit last night. Women are they are allergic to it, and in a way that men just aren't. I'm not going to say that. Well, okay, I'm not going to say that all men are, okay with accountability and taking, taking their actions, on themselves. And in fact, I would say that there's more men now who are allergic to accountability than there ever have been, in part because of the feminization of men.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But at least with men, you can, most of them, you can kind of go, you know what, dude, you really fucked this one up. Yeah, and if you can't, I would say you're dealing with an effeminate man, and that goes back to what Rollo says. There are some bad apples to mark and avoid.
Even in the red pill, which is ironic. That's my point. It's like, guys, this is a place where we should have a brotherhood, where we should have each other's backs. We're fighting for masculinity. We might not always agree. I think, there's some immorality I would address. But look, this is a pressing issue for the day. We're better together than apart.
You mean
if you're apart,
matters?
you play into the sisterhood's game.
So the tribe matters. Your tribes matter.
Let me talk about being wrong as a man. I don't like being wrong. I don't like making mistakes. But from time to I'm a truck driver. Sometimes things happen. Like you scrape a trailer, you run it into something, and it shouldn't happen. When it happens, who's to blame? Me? There was some reasons that I wasn't paying attention or whatever, but I still screwed up. So if you own up to it, you come back to your boss and say, yeah, damn, this happened. Well, if he's a smart guy, Well, now that you admitted it, he really can't. A lot of the time, he can't yell at you. Oh, gee, you're here. You're admitting to it. Yeah, generally you perform pretty well. Uh, okay. And he can't really even chastise you for it because you admit, yeah, it was a really stupid thing. But, if he knows your job, he knows, yeah, mistakes happen. And then, okay, there might be a little bit of consequences, maybe not, but life moves on. And the next day, nobody remembers it because he doesn't have to watch your ass because you're not the sneaky guy who does stuff and then tries to cover it up. Because men are always looking out for that sneaky bastard who
Mhm.
is not doing that. And as men, we all know that we mess up from time to time. And if he's a mature guy and you kind of have a friendship going on, he goes, "Yeah, okay. Well, let's fix it. Yeah, I know you don't like to do that. It probably won't happen again. So let's move on." He doesn't say that, but that's what's going on in his mind. So
He's-
the more a man admits his faults, occasional faults, to another man, ironically, the more he's respected.
there it is. And so, guys, there's a broader point here. The more effeminate men there are in society, the less respectable men there are in society. And this produces what you've probably heard termed a low trust society. The more I have to watch the other men that I interact with to see if they're being, as Steve said, a sneaky bastard trying to get one over on me, that's energy that I can't put towards actually improving society around me. But when a man comes, takes accountability, says, "Yep, I screwed up. Here's how I plan on fixing it." The other man's going to go, "Oh, okay, I don't have to worry about you." They go off and
Mhm.
they can do something more productive with their day, knowing that you're going to take care of it. It the sign of a truly strong man is the ability to go, "Yep, I fucked up. Here's what we're going to do
I just
about it."
had that conversation with my dad. I just had that conversation with my dad on Saturday. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
He's like,
and
"It's easy. Just admit you fucked up and don't drag it out and then fix it, and everybody's okay." Most of the time, unless it's something you can't it's totally, like, crushing, I mean,
well,
but
the other problem with this is the moment that a sneaky bastard gets into your tribe, that sneaky bastard's going to destroy the tribe. That's why Rollo says, "Mark and avoid."
yeah.
You are not supposed to let these men in your tribe. And if you discover that they have gotten in and they are that way, you kick them out. They are not a benefit to your tribe. They will suck you down and chew you up and destroy everything specifically for typically their own gain. Men are much more likely to do things for their own gain. Women just love destroying people because it's fun and it makes them feel good. Men typically do it because they think they can get something for destroying you and being a sneaky bastard. So if you're the sneaky bastard, you know,
That's the
expect to be
nice guy. That's also the form of being a nice guy, the sneaky bastard.
Yeah, because
women say
he
that all the
doesn't
time. Yeah.
want the nice guy doesn't want other people to know that he fucked up.
And he's
'Cause
not
then they
really a
might
nice
not
guy.
like him.
Yes,
Uh,
that he's not really a
the
nice guy.
the strong man says, yeah, I fucked up. That was really stupid. Okay, well, let's move on. I'm gonna try and make sure it doesn't happen again, but I can't guarantee that I won't have a brain fart and do something stupid again. Oh, okay. And all the other men say, "Oh, yeah, happens." I don't have enough shits to give about another man who screws up if he admits to it.
Well, and we have to have a little bit of understanding that no human is perfect, despite what they try and I think that's the other problem with these effeminate men. who are trying to, like, as Nick was saying, when a man is hiding his faults from you, he's trying to sell you on this vision that he's somehow perfect. And I think a lot of men don't really buy it.
So, have you ever had the situation where you get heated with a friend of yours,
Oh yeah.
and then he brings up things from a year or two ago and says, "Well, back 2 years ago, you did this and you did that, and then you did this."
Oh
I'm like,
fuck.
holy shit. This is
That's
the
how we're
like
getting like a
everything
woman.
in the kitchen sink. He's fucking acting like a woman. Oh
Yes.
man, this is bad.
Do you want that guy in your tribe? How badly do you want a guy
Look,
who's pretending to be a woman in your tribe?
look, if it's like a look, I mean, if it's like a constant thing, yeah, you probably don't want him in your tribe. Yeah, if he's going through some shit or it's a well, a blip in once in a blue moon type thing, yeah, okay, whatever.
Well, I do, particularly guys who are going through
Let him cool
divorce.
his jets and let him cool his jets. Talk to him a day or two later.
Yeah. And particularly
Or a
guys who are
week or
going to
two.
divorce. I give a lot of latitude to those guys because they're so far
Yeah.
up in their heads that, you're not going to reach them by just being a standard asshole guy, right?
Well, okay. I have to give more latitude to other men. Some of them that I know from experience are not real deep thinkers. And they run their life on more an emotional basis.
Yeah.
They have a short fuse and they go off and they don't really think, and then they're in their emotions. And yeah, generally a decent guy, but his wife might rule the roost at home. And
Probably.
you're going to go back and repeat that he gets emotional and he acts like a woman with his head up his ass for, it's going to happen every 3 to 6 months. And you kind of just got to ride it out. Now, is he ever going to be a close, intimate friend that you're going to share really deep things with? No, he's a friend slash acquaintance
Yep.
that you're going to provide some advice, be there for him when he has his crisis, and you're going to give him some, well, you can look at it this way. Oh, gee, thank you so much. Oh, man, you calm me down. And then he's going to apply none of it or he's going to apply 5%, and then he's going to calm down the situation. Then he's going to go on his merry way, and everything's calmed down. So I don't have to take action to prevent this from happening in the future. Then the crisis is going to happen again. But are you going to kick him out of your tribe? Or no, you might have to interact with him. So you're going to say, well,
He's on B
this
team.
is as close as he's going to
B
get
team.
to the real me.
B team.
So Shoe dropped an interesting comment here. And this is actually a good observation. He's saying that because society is so gynocentric, men get pounded socially for admitting even a small infraction. That's true. And his follow-up comment here is it's an obsession with image over virtue. And
that's the divorce courts all over. Gosh.
Right. But what I think the observation here that is valid is that it is in a gynocentric society, men who are, perfect angels and, can never do any wrong. Yeah, we all know that's not true, but it is a valid strategy for operating in a world where women have the same strategy and where that strategy is accepted. Now, of course, we know that it's not really accepted for men, hence the other dudes calling these guys effeminate, beta, whatever, right? Like the guys really know what the score is. And so you're not fooling anybody except maybe the girls you're trying to bang. Which, hey, look, if that's what you're here for and that's all you want to do, okay, maybe it'll work. Although I would argue that it
Guys,
doesn't actually work.
I'll tell you something. Coming off with some rough edges and not playing it safe, a lot of women are attracted to that, or those rough edges, and not giving up
Well,
an F, you know.
shows
Yeah,
courage.
someone kind of like that.
Shows courage and risk taking on behalf of the man, and dominance. And okay, I'm gonna do what I want, and I don't give a shit. Uh, those are qualities of a man that I respect. Okay, if the shit hits the fan, and okay, I need a team of men, and we got to go do something. If he's that kind of guy, but actually a thinking man, yeah, I want him on my team. Well, women are naturally attracted to that man too when she sees that side of him. Plus, if he looks like Chad Thunderstroke, that's a
Mm,
benefit.
it is. Okay. So Roll also has another quote. I'll put it up here and skip down. Talks about the sisterhood. We talked about that. Sub tribes, team sports. Yeah. Okay. The society, the gynocentric worldview, does not want us to have a brotherhood, to have tribes, friends, and then branching off to larger groups of friends. As he says, given this collectivist female gender tribe versus atomized male tribes, we begin to see why men organizing what might be a brotherhood is so difficult and discouraging. And he goes on to say, up to this point, game has represented an individualized threat to women's hypergamous control, but there has always been a larger majority of men, betas, who've been easily kept ignorant of their true potential for control. However, on a larger social landscape, the feminine imperative understands the risks involved in men forming a unitary tribe, a brotherhood based solely on benefiting and empowering. I don't think you need to empower men. I think I don't like that language. But the manosphere, while still effectively a collection of sub tribes, represents a threat to the imperative because its base purpose is making men aware of their true state in a feminine centric social order. As such, any attempt to create exclusively male.
Hold on, Nick. Got to catch up. Your voice is roboting.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
Nick, sorry, folks. Nick's been having technical issues all
No,
evening.
go back up. I need to make a personal point. I think it's on the previous stage. We scroll up where he talks about feminine imperative.
I think right here.
The feminine imperative understands. No, that's my big issue between me and Rollo. Is this feminine
Okay.
imperative? It implies a conscious mind that understands something and then calculates the risks and does a strategy. No. Women behave on emotions and instinct. There is no thought that really drives what they do on a strategic level. They're acting in the moment for a goal in the future, but they're not planning things out. Can you say more about that, Plutarch?
Oh, I have lots to say about this. And we tend, because of females' collectivist orientation, we tend to treat them as if they operate as a group of rational actors. Massive fucking mistake, man. They are not a group of rational actors all moving towards a common goal. They all like what the collectivist propaganda provides and says that should happen, but they aren't uniformly moving that direction. And Rollo in the earlier quote says, tribe versus atomized male tribes. Atomization is something that we will get into in a later stream, but uh, the word here that matters is atomized, because what the sisterhood is trying to do is to keep men from forming any social group whatsoever. And in fact, part of the uh, feminist narrative and program, if you will, it when a woman gets married, it about being your best friend, is because if she is your best friend, you don't need any other best friends. You don't
Mhm.
need to generate that group.
Can I have a small disagreement here. Not to keep men from forming this, to keep her man from joining that group
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
in the power. And since there is just a basic recognition that group has power, I want to infiltrate that group so I can have that power. So
Yeah.
That's why you don't have
it's
no
not
male
out
only
to
spaces.
destroy the male group. It's to get in the male group and get some of that power for me.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is a feminist messaging about destroying male groups and getting in. And I mean,
Oh,
what
sure.
feminists definitely want to get in male groups and infiltrate them. You see that. I mean, work is the obvious example, right? Oh, women can do everything
Oh,
men can
don't.
do. Right? Yeah, women can do everything men can do, so we should be able to do whatever job, and we should be treated. Yeah, no, but
It
by
ruined the
getting
dynamic. Oh,
Well, that's just it. Whenever a woman enters a group, they ruin the dynamic. I don't think that the
mhm.
feminists originally thought that. I think they saw it happening and said, "Oh, fringe benefit."
So, like when I did cars, I think I've told this story before. For the first few years when I sold Toyota, we had all male sales force. It was awesome. We were like a band of, brothers. It was our home away from home, right? We all got together. We cracked jokes, yeah, we'd have our little tiffs and stuff, and we'd get over it. Yeah, he'd get butt hurt for a couple days, and get over it, but we hung out, did things together. The very when they introduced the female to the sales force, it was every man for himself, backbiting everywhere. And it was just a terrible environment. And she was stirring up drama and crap. And then men started the simping and everything else. It was just terrible.
So what you're saying is that we need not just male friends, we need groups where males can get together without women around them.
Yeah.
There used to be a lot of groups like that. There's hardly any left. Maybe none.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad, but well, but so the red pill, I like Rollo's point going down though, is that the red pill being an attempt to create a sort of brotherhood. Now, of course, we can all argue about, and the men do, about,
The
whether or
Mano
not this
Swamp.
is, yeah, the mana swap, whether this is a good strategy or not. Yeah, look, guys have those arguments, and we're going to keep having those arguments. That's not the problem that in fact, the females, particularly the feminists, part of the reason they attack the red pill so much is they're actually trying to introduce I'm talking about the ones who get actively involved on social media attacking the red pill. They are actually running a feminist game. They are trying to introduce divide and conquer into the red pill.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is part of my streams that I'm going to do after the election, and we'll get into this. The red pill is unfortunately susceptible to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as I said, that's a whole conversation that we're going to have later. But for now, what I would say is look, men, no, reject the
Remember the
divide and
tactic.
conquer.
Remember the tactic.
Yes. This is your space. This is your this is your area and region of the internet, and even in some cases the physical space, for you to sit down with other men, have frank conversations without any women around. Because I can tell you right now, I cannot have certain conversations around my wife. I will not do it. And we opened by saying, "Oh, marry your best friend." No, there are conversations that I cannot have with my wife. I can have them with other men.
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. One, the simple reason is she will become emotional over it.
Hmm.
Then the conversation just goes down the emotional track and it accomplishes nothing. Or, rather than hold back the emotions and talk about the facts, get all the facts out and then draw your conclusion. No, you're chasing rabbits the whole time.
The deflection. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, this, oh, that.
Oh, I hadn't thought of this. I'm going to pull this up. Colonel, in the early 90s, I used to hang out at a local American Legion on Saturdays. I know what you're talking about. My grandpa took me to one. Yeah, the environment changes when
Well,
when women join.
they had a way of dealing with that. They had the American Legion and they had the Ladies Auxiliary. So there was that other group. Okay, you ladies go over there. You do your lady thing over there. Men are going to be over here. The Masons might be one of the only groups that still has that. To be a Mason, you need to be a man. Oh, where do the women go? Oh, we have this affiliate organization called Eastern Star. For whatever reason, the Masons have managed to be one of the only remaining male only organizations.
Huh.
Or
And
fraternities. Fraternity, if you're in college. I was in a fraternity. But
yeah, I mean that's true. But then you have sororities. So women have not gotten into the fraternities. So it's
it's
very rare.
changing.
Look at what happened to the Boy Scouts.
No, the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, enough said. Unless you want to say more.
Yeah,
Well,
but what are they going to say? What are they? What are the words you're going to say? Oh, you're a
misogynist.
misogynist. Oh, you're blah blah blah. Oh, are you just a little man? Are you do not have confidence to hang out with women?
You know, okay, on the Boy Scouts, I'll put this out there. I was in the Boy Scouts growing up. I'm not going to say what rank I ended up eventually attaining because, but back when it was for men only, we used to have up where here a summer camp, and I loved summer camp. It was probably the only time you could get me to go outdoors and away from my computers growing up. But there was this was my last year in Boy Scouts. I was just turned I was turning 18 like a month or was it a month or a week after
Yeah.
the camp. But we went up there, and the year before we had made friends with the range master. Now, I'm talking long range hole punchers, and these are the kind of things that you can do in Boy Scouts and masculine activities. We go up the next year to the same camp, and the same range master, he sees us coming. He gives my dad, who's the scoutmaster at the time, a big old hug. And he said, and they got to talking real quick. And the range master says, "You know what? If you show up, we'll open up the other side of the range," because he didn't have enough staff to open the range completely. And this was like this big deal at the camp because everyone wants to do it, and they don't have enough spaces to do it. But my dad, "Oh yeah, no, I'll go up there, I'll hang out." And then, because he had worked with me before, and I'm, at this point I'm leaving soon, and he says, you can if you when you're up here, we'll like this is to me. He knew my dad. He knew the measure of my dad. He knew me from the year before, and yeah, there still had to be a staffer up there, but we could be up there, open up the rest of the range because he knew us. These were the kind of experiences that you got as men. And I'm just pulling one out of my repertoire of experiences. There were all sorts of them. This was their high adventure camp, so it had all the cool stuff like rock climbing and whitewater rafting. But these were things that you could go do with other men. And they would treat you, even though you weren't technically a man yet, they would treat you as such.
Oh, you mean they try to raise men, not
Yeah,
little wimpy men
they
or
used to.
wimpy little boys? Yeah.
They don't anymore. Like I don't like you could not do that. What that range master did, you could not do that. That year he was up here was also his last year doing it. So I think he was a little bit like, what are they gonna do? Fire me? I quit. But the scouts have changed significantly to the point where I actually don't talk about it much anymore because I don't view it as the same organization that I was a part of. It's something else now.
Well, guys, we can move on to our
Sure.
next thing. The importance of friends is we've already kind of talked about this, but interacting as a community of men to accomplish a task. Men just don't talk, men do. I think Buckshot was saying that earlier. He's right.
Yep.
Team building, diversity of gifts and skills in a hierarchy. Do men have problems with hierarchy amongst themselves?
No, we just kind of work it out
No.
naturally.
No, I have a problem that there is no hierarchy. And
Yeah.
who the fuck is in charge here?
Yep.
This thing is a clusterfuck. Won't somebody step up and take charge and create some order out of this chaos?
There you go. There's the Colonel
There you go.
comment there.
And you know what? If no one else is going to do it, yeah, I'm going to have to step up and take charge. Because there's got to be a leader.
Well, there's look, we all talk about the fact that bad times are coming. We've talked about it on this channel. It's a perennial topic in the red pill space. It's a perennial topic outside of the red pill space. But does anybody honestly believe that we are going to solve the problem of whatever your vision of collapse is by men just saying, "Nah, I'm good. I don't need friends. I don't want friends." No.
No, but I thought, now a lot of guys in the red pill space, but what are they now saying? They're these lone wolf sigmas, which we all know is a bunch of bull crap.
I mean, Rollo did a whole stream on the whole Sigma bullshit, debunking
Right.
it. That was a couple years ago, but no, you are not a lone wolf. Again, I'm not going to diatribe too long, but I've talked to special forces operators about this, and they just kind of laugh at the whole thing. Like I find it fascinating that a lot of high speed, low drag killers kind of look at the red pill as a bit of a laugh. Not because we get the observations wrong, but because the red pill is so obsessed with individualism. You know, but the reality is that we are not going to solve the problems we face by yelling into a camera every week and then going about our business as if nothing happened. There needs to be groups of men coming together with a purpose. Because without purpose, men have nothing. And men won't be interested in you. And that's the other thing about all this lone wolf bullshit, inside or outside the red pill. You will not attract men if your thing is, yeah, I'm going to be a lone wolf. You're just not. It doesn't.
Easy target.
Human psychology doesn't work that way. You can try and tell me I'm wrong, and I'm sure the Evo Psych guys are over there not chomping at the bit to try it. But the thing is Evo Psych actually proves that argument wrong, which I find hysterical. So, you know, but
Yeah, they had tribes. They had to coordinate, according to their evolutionary worldview. But
right.
you can see that when early humanity, I don't think it's that, their, timeline, but yeah, you had to coordinate to take down these big beasts. You can do it all by yourself? Um, okay. How long is that going to work till you mess up and there's no one there to help you?
Or yeah, or the beast just gets the better of you. Like that can happen. And then what? Oh, you died. Because that's what happened to you
Right.
back then. So, no, this idea that men can just exist as little siloed islands, particularly this whole Sigma thing. No, it's a cope. You're trying to present an argument for why you don't want to be, as the Europeans would say, arsed to care. You can't be arsed to get involved. Well, that's great. Okay. I don't need you then. That's really what you're telling me. And I think a lot of men don't understand that when they get up and beat their chest about being a Sigma who don't need anybody. You're telling me that you don't need me. Okay, great. I will go off and find men who are looking to build a future. And if you get in my way, my group of men will steamroll you.
Exactly. The power of one versus the power of a coordinated team. You have no chance.
And I think this is why the operator types kind of laugh at the whole Sigma thing, because they know from acute experience that it's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, if things get dicey, I'll look who's around me. Say, okay, let's form a group. Or if there's a group forming, then I'll make a decision. Yeah, does this look like a group that will benefit me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I'm in.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna stand aside and say, "Oh, that group over there, I know what's going on. I'm gonna do it on my own." Oh no, that's stupid. If things
But you
get
can,
really ugly, a man can only be alert for maybe 12, 14 hours. He's got to sleep. Okay, if it's a 24-hour clock, you're kind of vulnerable when you're sleeping. So you better have somebody to watch your ass when it's
Yeah.
hey, you know what? You you can't be on task all the time.
And honestly, you're just lying to yourself if you think you can. It's which
Hey,
again
with
is
that said, you know what? I'm gonna let you guys carry this. I'm going for a smoke. That's the benefit of this group. I don't have to be here to carry it. I can say, hey, I'm
oh,
taking a
okay.
break.
Well, guys, okay, good. You can listen in. So, also, the whole point is you're not a master of everything. You you have a group of men that can complement, and there's a diversity of gifts and skills to build something better. I have gifts here in this group of three guys, right? Steve had his old man wisdom, been around the red pill a long time. Plutarch's got a brain for stats and math, and he's been in the red pill longer than me. We all have different stories, different background, different skills that we can bring to the table together. And it wouldn't be the same if we didn't have each other and different perspectives, different backgrounds, different skills.
well, I think particularly in our case, we like to come up with ideas. We like to bounce ideas off of each other. Yes, we're intellectual. You know what? I'll even say it. We're nerds in our own
Okay.
ways. But we would if we had to do this on our own, I think we would have, we could say, "Oh, well, we can only come up with a third of the ideas." No, I think we could only come up with a sixth of the ideas on our own because it takes so much process time to do the work, to the research work for a stream. It takes a lot of time to sit there and bounce your ideas around and see if your ideas actually have merit. where I can kick something over to Nick and I can say, "Oh, hey Nick, what does the Bible say about that?" And he's got his encyclopedia Bible brain going and he's, "Oh, this and this and this," right? And all of a sudden,
Mhm.
I don't have to do all of that work to make my point. I can just go to Nick and I can say, here's what and then, okay. And then you actually, we actually say this to each other. "Oh, okay, bring that up during the stream."
Right.
Yes,
So
we're telling you guys how
unique
we do.
friends.
Well, but h- how we do what we do is a direct result of the fact that we're friends. We can work well together. And if we didn't have each other, it would not, the content would not be what you guys are getting. It'd be worse.
Right.
Ooh, this is a
And
good
there's a
point.
hierarchy. There's a hierarchy.
Men share
Yes.
experiences, lessons. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
It-
That's the
yes.
red pill. That's the red pill.
Yeah, this is the origin story of the red pill. Men getting together online, sharing experiences and how they dealt with them. Gentlemen, the friends and the groups of men around you are they're the only reason you're still here. And we've talked about the stats on this before, and I have to be careful with the language here, but part of the reason that male self-deletion is so bad right now is because of the destruction of male tribes. Your friends are what keep you on this earth doing good work. And for that reason, I think more than anything else, I would have to say that that's the number one most important reason to have good male friends.
They have your back.
And if you find one who doesn't have your back, well, he doesn't. Tribes can be adjusted and rearranged, and you can remove that one who doesn't have your back. And very that that's a thought I just had. What if, particularly on these effeminate men, what if they don't have a tribe because they keep getting kicked out of tribes? Men don't want them.
Let me talk about that hierarchy among the three of us, friends. Is there a hierarchy?
Sometimes.
Yes, there always is a hierarchy, but we take turns.
Yeah,
This is
Nick's the
Nick's
leader
dream.
today.
He's the leader today. Oh, I can just relax and comment. I just trust him that he'll lead us through and go with the flow and whatnot. Okay, he's in charge. When I'm in charge, okay, I'm at the top of the hierarchy. We take turns. Male friends do that. The hierarchy adjusts. There's not always someone in charge. I mean, yes, if there's if it's a structured environment, military or your boss is the hierarchy. And you support him. And sometimes when he's not up to the task or something, you may step in to fill that vacuum, but it's temporary. It can adjust, and men just naturally do that.
So, Steve, in our prior episode, we talked about the hierarchy. And the Westminster Larger Catechism talks about a hierarchy, not just the structured and family, church, and commonwealth, but in age, in gifts, and in other places. So, also, there's a hierarchy in gifts. Hey, when I might talk about something, Steve might be on the topic, right? He might be the one leading that. But then he gets to some little aspect that he actually needs somebody that, oh, he knows he has a higher skill level or knowledge base than I do on this, and you can kick it over. Same thing when we talk about the history of the red pill. I can kick it over to Steve or Plutarch because honestly, that's not my thing.
Well, it's like I was
Right.
saying, if I have a question on Bible stuff, who do I kick it over to? I kick it over to Nick. Right?
And that's okay. It's not a threat. That's good.
No. You know, for a lot of red pill stuff, Steve and I, we kick stuff around to each other. Let's see, what else is stuff. You guys, how many times have you guys asked me to come up with data or charts for something? You know, like, because
You're a guy for that.
right.
Well, we each have different skills. We bring them to bear. And then there's a synergy. And that's kind of a squishy word, but it actually is true. We bring ideas in, and someone fertilizing the field with some different shit. Hey, now with that thought, I can go and develop it further, and you bounce it back a few times, and it becomes something where I couldn't come up with this on my own.
And that actually, if you watch us, that actually sometimes happens live on our stream.
I love it when that happens. I really do. Well, because okay, so we've got the wise old man who's seen everything, and he can kind of say, you know what, guys, you're being a little silly here. He did that to me earlier on the stream. This very stream, he did that. Nothing wrong. And what did I say? I said, you know what, Steve, you're right. You have, like, oh, okay, yeah, got a point. You're right. That's
But
how
it
should
wasn't
work.
to lord it over you.
No.
I got a different perspective. Here's what it is. Think you might be missing this. Okay. It's not to put you down. It's just just the way things flow.
Hey, Steve, does this make me a lesser man for you correcting me?
No.
Oh.
Okay, guys. That's actually another
Oh,
point
but
I'm trying to
do
bring
women
up.
do this?
Building each
Do
other
women do
up
this
and need to
fluid,
tear down
flipping
at
it back and
times.
forth and taking something from each
Hell
other
no.
to build
No.
something?
No.
No.
It doesn't happen.
No.
That's why you need male friends.
It's another reason your woman can't be your best friend. That's another reason. Nick, sorry.
Because men will build each other up, but will also need to tear each other down and develop some thick skin.
So sometimes tearing a man down is necessary because he's getting a little too big for his ego is getting a little too big for its britches. Yeah.
This happen.
It happens. It's a thing. Sorry, Nick, you were saying something.
No, I was just saying that's one of the things that when I wrote in my notes was part of friendship is building each other up and also the need to tear down at times and developing thick skin as well. Not taking yourself so damn freaking seriously that you're immune to criticism. I remember it was early on in high school. I didn't understand people were making fun of me, and then all of a sudden, some guy said, "Nick, I'm just messing with you, man. I don't hate you. You're my friend." And I was like, "Ah." And then I related how my dad would talk to me and how he'd make jokes and tear me down, but he wasn't trying to hurt me. I mean, he was trying to hurt me, but not really hurt me. He was trying to teach me and build me up.
Well, okay. So Nick, there's another reason why women can't be in this space because what do they call this behavior? What's the term they use?
Toxic?
Toxic masculinity.
Hmm.
No. See, women want to try and say, and across the culture, they want to try and they like the part where we build each other up. Women love that, and women do that with, oh, girl, you're good, you look great today, right? Women love the building other men up part of masculinity. They don't like the tearing down, the crushing of the egos. They don't like that. That's the toxic part of masculinity that we can't have.
Or the testing of the metal, mettle, testing another man's metal. What's he made of? I'm gonna give him some crap, see if he can take it. He can still stand up. And then, you know what? If he doesn't get all butthurt about it and he gives me crap back, okay, we're good.
Doesn't take it too seriously, can think on his feet. Do you know how much you can learn about a man by giving him a little bit of crap.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that with your wife. Your wife is certainly not going to do that to you. They don't think that way.
And you want them for your best friend? They can't deliver. And you're only hurting yourself. No. Don't get rid of your male friends. That is actually that is the problem of adopting a woman as a best friend and letting your wife or girlfriend take that place is you actually cut yourself off from team building, building your skills, hierarchy, building each other up, having thick skin. And guess what? You don't have the camaraderie of having each other's back. Because once you're her best friend, she's going to start, you're becoming the beta. Betazization by 1,000 concessions won't happen overnight, but she'll get the ick and she may not have your back. I'm
I
not
can
saying that
guarantee
men
you
don't
she
betray
won't.
each other.
She
But
won't. Okay, if you're really in a bad situation, and we've all been there, we screwed up, we have doubts, we have fears, whatever. If you have a really good friend and you talk to him about those deep things, about your insecurities, your failings, your doubts, he can actually listen and give you, some problem solving advice, or just be there and say, you know what, I still trust you. And then a week or two down the line, he's going to forget about it. Or, he's still concerned with you. But a year or two, he's not going to bring that crap up. If you have that same conversation with a woman, your wife, it could have been 10 years ago. He's filing that away. And he will bring that forward and bring and use that as evidence against you. And then it's not in the past. It is everything that you've ever done wrong all happen here, right now, in the present. And then she'll form a narrative. And yeah, okay. Don't give her the ammunition.
So there's a
Because
comment. Or go ahead.
go ahead. No, I'm done.
So I want to bring this comment up. I think this is something that only men who've actually needed this done to them realize the importance of. I actually had to
it's important.
I had to do this about 3 weeks ago, and it was a group of men getting together. We were talking about, it's tech related stuff. But one of the guys we found out was going through a divorce. So instead of having the conversations that I showed up to have, I sat down. Now his particular drink of choice was neat whiskey, but the guy actually has some taste on him. And we had a 3-hour long conversation about some red pill stuff. Now I had to be very careful because there's this guy is beta, and you
Mhm.
don't rip the band-aid off with the red pill. It doesn't work. And there are some things the red pill says that you just can't say to men, because if you say them, particularly who are going through divorce, because you say them, you could actually push them to want to self-delete, because it's kind of more like a black pill to say it that way. This was actually something I was talking about offline with the group and other people in the red pill. But the value of going out with another guy and having a beer, and you can talk about the divorce, you cannot talk about the divorce. When I was going through mine, I went out with a guy, was a good friend. We had beers and food because there was a great bar nearby. And we didn't, I mean, of course we talked about the divorce, but we talked about all sorts of things because his IQ is higher than mine. He can hold a conversation on anything. We just kind of went wherever. Um, and but here's the thing. it calmed me down and it got my mind off of what was going on. But also, another man was there listening, and it's like, you know what? It's going to be okay. Now he was actually a pretty red pill guy at the time too, so we were having some pretty red pill conversations. But if you want guys to not self delete, peer interventions are they are your best tool.
One of the reasons divorce is so hard on men is it's a problem that they cannot solve
Mm-hmm.
out of their completely, totally out of their control. Nothing they can do. And furthermore, everything they do will either make it worse or amount to nothing.
Yep.
And that's a new experience for most men.
And that's a hard one for men who are natural problem solvers. We want to fix the problem in the relationship, and we want to think that we can patch it up.
If we could just talk and use some common sense, this shit wouldn't be going on. Yeah. Right. But you can't. And anything you do will be held against you.
Well, Colonel, yeah, kind of what we're trying to say here is to our beta friends, and to our church friends. If you do not have a male space when the tough times come, and they will come for all of us, particularly if you're a Christian and you're out here. I mean, basically, if you're denying that tough times are coming, you're basically on the prosperity gospel train, and you're not a Christian. As far as in my book, but honestly, the churches used to be a place where men could do this, have not been in a very long time. Like,
and I'll tell.
go ahead.
I'll tell you my personal experience here. I got thrown under the bus, and the guys I thought many of the guys, not all, but some of my closest friends that were pastors and not necessarily the same denomination, but they threw me under the bus like, oh, it's because you forgot the gospel. No, I was always preaching the gospel. It's because I started addressing things. Oh, it's because you started addressing unspeaking the truth. Oh, that patriarchy thing. That's why this happened to you. Like it's your fault this happened to you. And you need to do this, 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 and this, and this because it's your fault. I blocked that guy and several others. After that, I said, you're not my friend. You would never, ever. My friend should have my back, not throw me under the bus and blame me for crap that I didn't do and cause the things that happened to me irrelevant of it was false accusations of DV. But it was never about that. He's like, oh, well, I don't care if that happened or not, but this is your fault that it got to this point to begin with. And I'm like, you're not my friend. You betrayed me. You're a Judas.
Yes, I was going to say that. It's betrayal. Because a friend like that, you say, you've known me for years. By now, you should know my character. You should know that I talk about these things because I've talked about them with you. You should know my character and know that the things I've been accused of are completely separate from every way that I've lived. And now you're throwing me under the bus and going with the flow of the accusers. I guess you're not my friend because you never knew me.
I will mention two men, though. Archibald Allison in the OPC, good guy. He had my back. I don't like the OPC, but I can say he's a good man. He had my back. And Michael Spengler had my back. Good man. There's very few. Anyway, Steve, keep going. Sorry.
No, I was done.
Well, Nick, you said something key there. There's very few. And your experiences with the OPC, I have experiences elsewhere. Guess what? I'd say the same thing. there's very few men who will stand up for another man and have their back. If there is something that the red pill could do to change the world more than anything else, raise up men who will stand up and have each other's back. And again, there's a long rabbit hole here that's for part of my future series. If the red pill won't do it, somebody else will. Because
I had more atheists having my back than church people.
oh, that's just
That's sad.
it's horrifying. It- but that is the world we live in.
Can I I grew up in the evangelical church. One of the biggest problems of the evangelical church, kind of Protestantism in general, is they don't really have a theology of suffering. Nick kind of mentioned it earlier, the health and wealth gospel. They have no theology of suffering. Come on. Does that make any sense? You know, from life experience, you've learned more from your hard times than the good times. You don't learn diddly squat when times are good. And you know, the Bible talks about God testing you, even in the Lord's Prayer, lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from evil. Don't give me more than I can handle, and then help me through that. That's suffering. They've well, it's probably true in the Catholic Church too. All Christianity, they've minimized this role of suffering in learning from hard times. And that's why,
In the Bible,
if you have hard times, they'll throw you under the bus because I don't want that hard times coming my way.
there's a few things I want to mention. I'll find it right here. Jesus was betrayed by his friend Judas. The Apostle Paul, remember how his friends left him, and he also said, Alexander the coppersmith did me great harm. The Lord will repay him according to his deeds. Yeah, that, it's in the Bible, guys. Betrayal and suffering, it's in the Bible, even by some who you thought were your friends. And it's a serious sin, betrayal. Being a Judas,
Well,
that knife in the back by the one you trust. And guess what happens? The one who you're supposed to be one flesh with. How much more do you think that hurts?
all three of us are divorced, so
Yeah.
I think we all agree that it hurts like nothing else.
Mhm.
And in the case of today, with 56% of marriages ending, first marriages ending at some point, atheist or Christian, you're going to go through, there's a 56% chance that you're going to go through this. A better than coin toss chance.
And, and what did the churches do to the men who get the knife in the back?
They try and figure out how they can twist it.
It's like what happened to Caesar, right? It's like what happened with Caesar. Remember what happened with Caesar? I think this might be the stage play, but
Are you thinking
remember they all
Brutus?
start A2 Brute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All the
Well,
daggers start coming in, but then you see the ones that you're supposed to have back. Mm.
well,
It's
mob
important to have
men.
good friends. Just know they're suffering sometimes.
Yeah. It and okay, we've talked a couple of times now about vetting church women and dealing with church women. But you know what, guys? It's
But
okay to
friends.
vet your guy friends too.
So finish this statement There's no greater love than
to give oneself up for one's
to
friend,
lay
right?
down your
That's
life
John,
for your
life for your
brother.
friend. Yeah. Yeah. John 15, verse 13. Greater love hath no man this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
Yeah, well, I think traditionally it was your brother. I mean, friends
Oh,
implies other men.
that's King James. I don't know.
Okay, well, maybe I'm just imagining it. But friends implies other men, not your wife. Now, of course, a man's supposed to love his wife as Christ loved the church. Christ sacrifice was willing to accept death and sacrifice for the good of the church. So yeah, you're called for that for your wife too. But yeah, brothers really important because they have your back and you have theirs. We can all wish and hope for a supportive wife. Not the same thing. And truth is, very few men have a highly supportive wife in a time of crisis.
Very, very few. And
Remember Job. Job. What happened to Job?
well,
Remember? All this crap happened to him. He was blameless, right? She just said,
Right.
just curse God and die.
and the red pill talks a lot about transactional relationships. Okay. There's a flip side to that transaction. And and guys, particularly to you red pill guys, you might think you're ready for it, especially if you've been through a divorce once already and you think you've got all the answers.
Hey, what are you talking about? Me here?
Steve.
Hi Steve, how you doing?
Yeah, I had all the answers after my first divorce. Found the right woman. Oh, we addressed all those issues. Things are good. Oh, don't you know? The exact same thing happened to me again. Even though I vetted her for the things that were wrong in my first marriage. Doesn't mean I was a perfect man in the second marriage. Yeah. Okay. I kind of got beta-ized and yeah, it's kind of like the kiss of death. Yeah, she had her issues. Okay. But the point is, there was nothing there that couldn't have been worked out. But women don't want to work it out because they would have to actually be honest and accountable about these things and actually talk about it. When they make the decision, boom, it's done. It's a light switch. It was on, now it's off. And once that light switch is turned off, it's a 1 or a 0. It's either there or not there. Now, when it's off, there is no communication. There is no chance of to change anything. She turned that switch off, and it is just that abrupt.
Yep. That was my experience. One day you're doing fine, the next day you're
It's
not.
over.
And guys, since going through that, I have talked to other men who are going through divorces. Guess what they all say? We were doing great. We were doing great. Then out of the blue, boom. I don't love you anymore. We're getting a divorce. And the guy's sitting there going, oh, what?
Hmm?
Yeah. Huh? What?
Oh, I think George Bruno's got a skit on that.
He would.
Sounds like something George would say.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, vet your woman, but also you need to vet your friends. And yeah, you need friends. David had his band of mighty men, David and Jonathan. There's Jesus and the apostles, Jesus and the disciples. There's Jesus and Lazarus, and Jesus and the beloved disciples, probably John. You need friends and you need to vet your friends, but there's no guarantee that one might stab you in the back. But
Oh, you
such
mean
is life.
Judas?
Yeah, such is life. I mean,
Well, so part
But
of building men up, I think, is for men to start recognizing that there will be traitors or
yeah,
misfits in your group that will stab your back
there will
in the
be a
back.
Benedict Arnold.
Yes. And you need to learn how to deal with that and then move right on. That's what strong men do. They deal with it and it's on to the next thing.
Yeah. I mean, I got a bunch of proverbs I can talk about. We've talked about Job's friends and not only his wife, but his friends. So yeah, he went through it too. All right. So we've talked about a few things. I'm gonna relate it to the Bible now. Proverbs 17, or I'll put it back on the screen. I'll add it to the stage. Here we go. The Proverbs, guys. There's red pill wisdom. A lot of the stuff you find with the red pill, hey, the Bible kind of already talked about it. He that covereth, so Proverbs 17, verses 9 through 10. He that covereth the transgression seeketh love, but he that repeateth a matter separateth very friends. Didn't we talk about that? Bringing up old crap.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, Bible talked about that too. Interesting. Oh, we talked about building each other up and tearing each other down. A reproof entereth more into a wise man than 100 stripes into a fool. That's interesting. So you can take criticism. Makes you a good friend. But a foolish friend can't take the criticism. He won't
no
learn.
matter how much wisdom or reproof you give him, it's to no benefit to him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, verse 17, a friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. He's got your back. If shit hits the fan, he's got your back. Didn't we talk about that, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, and I had a thought on that. There's a lot of people out here say, "Oh, this comes from the Bible." Okay, it comes from the Bible. Well, I don't like the Bible.
Yep.
I'm not a Christian. Okay, then you don't have to read it from the Bible to understand that it's true. You can't just sit there and say, "Oh, well, the Bible says it, so therefore I'm not going to do it because I don't like the Bible." Okay, now you're just being an idiot.
Yeah,
Whether
and we've kind of taken that approach to our streams. Yeah, we're Christians. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Bible. You're a Christian, you can accept it from that standpoint, or you can just accept it like, wow, this is ancient wisdom. And yeah, a book that's endured for this long is bound to have wisdom in it. Yeah, maybe I should apply that in my life. That's fine. I'm
well,
not
and it's
saying you need to do otherwise. Wisdom is wisdom wherever it's found.
Well, and that's part of the reason that sometimes we bring up examples that aren't from the Bible, and so that's how Nick structured it today. We've got all of the modern examples that don't deal with the Bible, and then now he's just going back and saying, "Oh yeah, men from 2,000-3,000 years ago. Look what they knew."
Isn't that interesting? Oh, and some of the Christians, in case you doubt what we're saying, well, here you go.
Yeah, you're right. It works the other way, going the other way too. Yeah, you're right.
That's right. Oh, so your friend should have your back, right? Not stab you in the back like Job's friends, or like the opposite of Proverbs 17, verse 17. Mhm. And yeah, you should take the criticism of your friends. Oh, Proverbs 18, verse 24. The man that has friends must show himself friendly, and there's a friend that sticketh closer than a brother.
Oh, this is something we
Yeah.
didn't talk about. This is a man who has friends is a man that men can be friends with. Is a man that can we kind of talked about it. We talked about working together, but if you don't have friends, how do we know? How do we as men know that you're valuable to the community, the tribe? If you can't make friends, this is another problem with being that Sigma loner.
Mhm. Closer than a brother. Man. A friend calls you up, "Hey, I got some stuff they need to I can't go into all the details. Gonna show up anyways. You're gonna be there for them."
Show up, bring plastic
You know,
and a shovel.
I had more than
I'm
one.
just kidding.
No. I had more than one guy who helped me through my divorce, but there's two names that come to mind. I won't say them because they're not public, but it's like I still talk to one of them to this day. And he called me up and he was asking for help on a work problem. Guess what I did? I dove in. 20 minutes later, we had solved the problem. And then we started talking about other things because, friends. That's what a friend looks like. A person in your life who demands recompense for everything you do for them is not a friend.
He's keeping track of everything. Yeah. Just do it because he's your friend.
Yeah. You like this
Does a
person, don't you?
brother keep track? Does a brother keep track of what his brother's doing? Is that a good brother? No, my brother's in trouble. I'm going to help him. I don't care. He's my brother.
Yeah.
Does the wife keep track of everything going on?
Yeah.
Yes. Again, but again to the point, women are not your best friend. This is not to say that they cannot be companions. It's not to say that they cannot be supportive. And I'm going to even use this word, useful.
And you can love them.
Yes.
You should, and you're commanded to. But,
Yes.
well, there's different kinds of love, too. Got the agape for God, or him for us. Got the eros, which is erotic. And you got, what? Phileo, which is brotherly love.
Which, by the way, is the root for Philadelphia, the city, if you guys, little piece of trivia there.
Yeah. Those Quakers.
Oh, Nick, we're not going there tonight.
Yeah. Some of them were my lineage, so.
Well, but I think it's interesting that 200 years ago, people thought it was a good idea to name an entire city after the concept of brotherly love.
Yep.
And now
Not
today,
a bad
brotherly
name.
love is toxic masculinity. Ugh.
Yeah. So yeah, the friend loveth at all times, lay down his life for his brother. And look how it contrasts to Proverbs 22 verses 24 to 25. Make no friendship with an angry man, with a furious man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul. So a guy that's perpetually angry, always brawling, yeah, might not be the best one. You might get a snare to
Okay,
your soul.
well, here's
What does this not mean
anger.
now, Steve?
Anger, he's in his emotions.
Yeah.
Anger is an emotion. A man is in his emotions. You can't talk sense to him.
Now, is there such thing as a righteous anger that is
Oh
permissible?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anger, is that an emotional anger though?
It's based on a actual injustice.
It's based on an objective observation.
Is God emotional? Is God emotional? God the Father.
Not in the same way that we are.
But
I mean, the
does
Bible talks about
God
the jealous God.
Right.
okay, yeah. Does God have vengeance on?
Yes.
Is he e- enacted in vengeance? Is that emotional vengeance, or is it the
It's just vengeance.
penalty or the justice for what was done?
It's justice for what
Well,
was done.
okay. Well, that's not emotional. That's logically figured out. You did this. There is a consequence. Okay. Well, righteous anger is kind of like the same thing.
Right.
Doesn't mean I need to do that, impose a penalty. But righteous anger at a wife who betrayed you, yeah, not a problem. I don't have a problem with that. Doesn't mean you need to enact the vengeance. You just have to
No.
say, I am righteously angry at this. And you know what? There's a price to pay. I leave it up to God. Now, the price will be paid in this life
Vengeance
or
is
in the
mine,
next.
saith the Lord.
And okay, there's something due here. You can either pay now or pay later. That's salvation. That's whether you end up in heaven or hell. Or as a Catholic, yeah, maybe you're going to heaven, but you got some debts to pay and you're going to spend some time in purgatory. Now, I know Nick doesn't believe that, but philosophically, all I'm saying is there's a debt to pay and it must be paid.
Well, I think God Christ paid the penalty for my debts on the cross by his blood. The best friend a man could ever have, but not just merely a friend, my Lord.
True enough, but there still are temporal
No,
penalties,
yeah, it doesn't
worldly
relieve you.
penalties.
It
I
doesn't
mean,
relieve you of
you may
temporal
end up in
penalties.
heaven,
You still
but
have to pay the penalty here on earth for
um,
whatever you may have
okay,
done.
and this comes up in the manosphere. Oh yeah, I had fun in my 20s, and I racked up a body count, but now I found Jesus, and my sins are wiped away, and I'm a new woman in Christ, and I'm born again, and I'm just I'm a born again virgin. You can wife me up now. How's that work out?
Well, okay,
Oh
Nick's
no.
laughing, so I'll say it for him. Look, God can forgive you. He can even take you up into heaven, but he is not going to take away the temporal consequences of your actions. That is the debt. The debt that these women are incurring on their bodies, on their hormone systems, is permanent and real. And God's not just going to miraculously come down and reset your brain. No, you blew out your hormone system. Guess what? You have to live with that for the rest of your life. That's why we say there's going to be a lot of single old cat moms with chugging down box wine, because that is men inherently recognizing that there is a debt to pay.
Now, I'm ready to be wrong on this. If some woman wants to come forward and say, "Yes, that happened to me, and God restored my hymen," okay, well, yeah, I stand corrected. But until that happens, I'm not going to change my belief.
Steve, in the Catholic Church, would that not be a miracle worthy of canonization at least?
Uh, it's a miracle. It doesn't mean the woman would need to be canonized. Maybe you could attribute it to praying to some saint or something.
Okay.
But
I'm not familiar with how the
yeah,
Catholic Church
who
works
knows?
exactly, but you get
I
what I'm
don't think
saying,
it's
right?
going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Oh, Tacitus. Okay, I'm going to put this up on screen just because it's hilarious. Oh, that's a that has to be nominated for comment of the night right there.
Uh,
Okay, we'll put
all
that one
right,
away
guys.
so YouTube doesn't hammer us too hard.
Let's get back to the friends. All right. Proverbs 27, verse 6 and 9 through 10 to 7. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. So who was kissed and was a deceiver? Who was the deceiver and who was kissed?
Judas.
both my ex-wives.
Yeah, that
True.
too.
But I'm talking about Jesus.
Oh,
Remember Judas came and greeted
yes.
him with a kiss, and he was the deceitful enemy that stabbed him in the back. But faithful are the wounds of a friend. Remember, we're talking about he he speaks, he gives the reproof. It wounds you a little bit, doesn't kill you. He's trying to build you up. He's trying to help you. But the ointment and perfume rejoice heart, so doth the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. Hmm.
Hearty counsel is an interesting phrase because in the English of the era, you could also describe it as like a hearty a stew, and this would have been a stew that puts hair on your chest. It's got lots of meat and right. I mean, this thing it's not light and sweet. It's designed to fortify you for a long workday or after a long workday. These aren't light and sweet and happy and fun. And I think that's kind of what they're trying to say here. The conversation doesn't always have to be, light, sweet, fun. Sometimes a hearty conversation involves some pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, but he's using the word counsel here, not reproof. So it's a deep, content-filled conversation and advice. In this one,
Mm-hmm.
that it's sweetness, because I bring to you my problem. We go in, we pull it apart, we go deep. He asks me some really soul-searching questions, uses his wisdom, and we arrive at a solution because we were both very honest and open. And man, this is some really thick, heavy stuff. And it was sweet. It was fun. It was, uh, and you have a sense of peace afterwards and a clarity of mind. Oh, okay. Now I know the answer and what I should do.
I actually attribute part of my recovery from divorce, the quickness of my recovery to divorce, to being surrounded by good men willing to have these
Yes.
conversations. Not and I know for a fact that most men out there don't have that. It is part of the thing that so enrages me about the feminist leftist desire to destroy the red pill. It's like, look, guys, men are already out here suffering more than any other group of people out there, particularly because of what you're doing to them in divorce. I have seen the blast damage, and I haven't even seen the worst of it. Go talk to a military vet who's had to deal with I and you want to take away the only thing that's helping men deal with it. Go fuck yourself. That's my opinion of you. Like I have no use for you. So I mean, that's a, a major part of the reason I'm here is because I have seen the benefits of having a group of men who they are they're not going to berate you for being weak because your wife left you. And I don't think that helps men. I think a lot of men think that helps men. I think the church thinks that helps men because they spent 6 weeks trying to figure out how I failed. Um, but it doesn't. Somebody who will
It
sit there and
doesn't.
listen.
And the men who are throwing you under the bus are doing it because they think it will benefit them and their marriage because they're probably not the leaders in the home. He wears the pants,
Mm.
and they're trying to keep up this delusion. So throwing you under the bus uh, helps them to delude themselves that how they are conducting their
Mhm.
life is proper.
Oh, this is actually a good comment too. Vet men carefully before engaging in any type of business transaction. Absolutely. And that's not even
Oh
a friend
yeah.
relationship. But I know we're waxing a little poetic about the benefits of male friendships because that is the purpose of this stream. But we even said you've got to vet your men. Rolo says you've got to mark and avoid those guys. And vetting isn't perfect. We've said that about our divorces. Like
Oh,
y-
it's not.
yeah, it what it does is improve your odds, and that's about all you can hope for in this life is improving your odds.
Well, I've observed this. Oftentimes, the more overtly Christian a man is, and how often he talks about that, and it's like emotional Christianity.
True.
Yeah, the more he talks about it, the less he is. The
Mm,
quiet guys who don't really make it that known their deep sense of principle and Christian uh, adherence are often the better guys. And you might only hear a comment in passing, like they go to church or they volunteer or they do this at their church and they're doing this. They never make a point of it. Oftentimes, those are the reliable guys, whereas the overt guy, mm, maybe not so much.
hey, Steve, are you talking about the performative Christianity?
Um,
Well,
Not
because
familiar with that term, I guess.
because there are I'm thinking about your prosperity gospel types, but there are a large group of men who, for them, there is nothing. It's almost like it's similar to borderline. I'm not going to say that it is, but if they're doing something, they're doing it to make sure that the world knows they're doing it, not because they really hold to that. And so it's performative. It's an act for the world so that they can be seen
Well,
holding those
do you,
views.
do you know any Pentecostals?
Yes.
Uh,
Like Assemblies of God?
I have
Oh,
none.
yes.
I have none in my life regularly.
Okay, well, okay, this is just my observation. Can I leave it at that? Not a criticism. They have this emotional view, and they're always talking about this. uh, They're always bringing up Bible verses and trying to show the world how Christian they are. That is not me. That's not how I practice my faith. And I've seen a lot of that, and I've seen a few, yeah, a lot of good men that I have no dirt on or reason to doubt them, but others that of that type that, yeah, I observed their behavior and not really the best. I wouldn't really trust them. I'd trust this other guy who's just a regular guy. Yeah, okay, nominally Christian, but he's a man of principle.
He has honor and
Um,
integrity.
yeah. So I am doubtful of the more overt, gushy Christians that want to show the world that they're Christian.
Well,
No, like the scribes and Pharisees, and didn't Jesus talk about them had like the prime places, and I love the long prayers that everybody could hear them, and et cetera, and et cetera.
Oh, yeah, this dynamic is
Yeah.
absolutely not new in the world.
Uh,
Well, look, there's always been a group of men who part of their reach for power, status, whatever you want to call it, is making sure that the group knows that they are the most, insert whatever. They are the most faithful. They are the most educated in the scripture, right? The Pharisees, right? You know, when you see those guys, when and I'm with Steve on this. When you see those guys, I look at them and I go, I can't know if you're actually a Christian or if you're just using it to market yourself as a Christian. Okay.
Okay, I got another question for you, Plutarch.
Okay.
Any of those men, would you call them alpha males? Would you call them leaders? If the shit hit the fan, would you follow them or want them to be ahead of your group?
Um, no, because I've seen them fall apart when the shit hits the fan before. And I think that's why groups of men don't react that well to these kinds of guys. Now, as a society, we've made emotionalism fundamental to who we are, and so I think there is a broader acceptance of it. But people are saying, "Oh, we're declining." No, no, folks, the decline hasn't. The decline has been mostly theoretical, philosophical. I'm talking about actual physical decline, where these are men who they can't just get on YouTube or get in front of a church and declare their piety, how great they are. Or, in the case the Pharisees, they get up in front of the church square and or the square and they say their prayers, right? I'm talking about when you can't do that. When the economy says, "Oh yeah, no, there's no internet today." When the economy says there's no food today. I'm talking about real shit hitting the fan. Those guys are nowhere to be found.
exactly.
Well, I'll say it this way: the more emotional I deem a man or I observe a man to be, the less I'm going to trust him in a crisis situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any kind of emotion, and even if it's overt Christian emotion, sorry, I'm not going to throw my lot in with you.
Right. And there's this idea that sort of runs in our culture, and this has been around for a long time. This idea of the rugged individual. It actually stems from the fact that the United States has over 100 years being what's called a settler culture, and so you would go out, get a big plot of land, and you would be the only person for 5 miles around. And so there's this idea that you can do it all on your own. It's a bit of a misunderstanding of how that actually worked. Like, there was a town, so you would buy your land and it would be around the town, and you would go into town, maybe not every week for church, but you still went to church. I know this sounds strange to bring up, but Little House on the Prairie. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I
Yeah.
don't know who they
My
are.
my
Yeah.
mom made us watch it growing up, but they had a town that they went to. They had a church that they went to, right? It wasn't we're out here alone on the edge of civilization with nothing ever. Yeah, there were some guys like that. They died a lot. And you you can't have you can't be hyper individualistic. And if you're out here saying that, "Oh, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that," and you're all in your, that's why I call it performative. Because to me, it's almost like you're trying to make sure that other people know what you are when you don't have the ability to do that yourself. And that's why I was talking about Little House on the Prairie. Like, that's actual settler culture, not what we make it to be. And because of that, we get this wrong idea about the utility of individualism. And because of that, we tell ourselves that we don't need no man. I mean, you hear it from the women. And because we tell ourselves we don't need no man, we think we can get up there and we can be emotional and it won't matter, for lack of a better term. Because I don't have to care if another man trusts me. I can do it on my own. I can emote however I want because I don't need to care if another man trusts me.
That's a good point. Well, we're in about 2 hours.
Oh, jeez.
Better let Nick
All right.
carry this to the conclusion.
Yes.
Well, this is the last slide, so I'll just end here. I'll start at the top. Don't forsake your friends. Verse 10. Thine own friend, thy father's friend, forsake not. He says, but don't go to your brother's house in the day of calamity, but saying, go to the neighbor that is near than the brother is far off.
That sounds a lot like what
Not
we've talked about when the shit hits the fan. Who's your neighbor? I mean, we've talked about that before.
right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. It's not just your internet friends.
You mean my
need-
internet friends can't save me, Steve?
No.
I guess I'm not coming
It takes
for
time. It takes time to get wherever you're at.
Hey.
So
North Dakota might be a good place to be when the shit hits the fan.
you. I don't
if it's
know.
not nuked.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say that if it's not radioactive.
You got a point there.
I was gonna say I think all three of us live at least 1,000 miles from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go to where you can have help and a person that you trust. So iron sharpens iron. So there's that's the whole point. So a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. You build each other up. So yeah, you need other friends. You can't just do it by yourself. You won't develop into the best version of yourself without your friends, a good friend. But again, there's this warning. I want to keep this here. Remember, the Psalms talking about being betrayed. It prophesies Jesus himself being betrayed. He was by his own friends. It also reflects the reality of Christ's people being betrayed. Betrayal is a common experience, but you will be betrayed, especially if you embrace Christ by parents, brethren, kinsfolk, and even friends. And some shall they cause to be put to death. I mean, when I came to faith in Christ, I had very, very close friends that turned their back on me, and that hurt. So, can happen. But let's go back. I want to finish it with John 15. This is my commandment. This is Jesus speaking, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends, if you do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known to you. Christ is the true friend. He will never let you down. He'll never betray you. He'll never leave you nor forsake you. All the world may depart. All the world may turn against you. But if you are Christ, if you trust him and are following him, he will never leave you. He is the rock. Everybody wants to find perfection in this life. We live in a fallen, broken world. Betrayal is a reality. If you live long enough, you see it, you experience it, but Christ will never leave you nor forsake you. Now we can sum up what we talked about today, guys. So, you need friends. Jesus had friends. Paul had friends. Man, David had friends. I think in the history of the world, it shows that people have friends, but also, there's some wisdom in friends. Now, why do we need friends, guys?
Well, I would say friends. The best way to become a great man is to have great friends. And I'm not necessarily talking like Elon Musk rich or, Solomon ruler of, you know, United Israel. No. Great men. men who get things done, who are of value to other men, who do things that leave a mark on the world, a positive mark on the world. They have great friends. Now, I'm not saying that guys with billions of dollars can't have great friends, although I would argue that most of them probably don't. Um, but I think about the great men that I know. They aren't rich. They aren't powerful. They aren't, you know, but they do great things.
Well, let me point this out. The Bible, God, the Father, Jesus will not forsake us. So if you believe that, and I do, whether you're a Christian or not, he wants you to become that. And so there's a path out there. So if he doesn't forsake you when you hit your crisis, let's say divorce, you're at your wits' end, you don't know what's going on. Look around you. There are men around here. And if it's true that you will not be forsaken, somebody will be there. Even if they're not a friend now, there'll be somebody to talk to. And you're not alone, because if you feel alone, you know what? You might be in the mood for self-deletion. And a man going through a divorce is at the lowest. It is a betrayal so deep and so dark, you don't know which way is up. That's when you need a friend. Okay, you don't have a friend? Okay. Some other man out there in your vicinity will come along, or you may even know him already. And if you talk to him, and actually be honest, the help is there. Men love to help other men. When they're down, I'll go out of my way. I don't care if you're not yet a friend. You come to me in one of these crisis situations, I'm gonna sit there and talk to you. We will deal with it,
So Steve,
and you'll be better off.
You triggered a thought with that. And this is kind of a darker thought, but look, guys, if you're hitting the lowest you've ever been, you're going through that divorce, and all of a sudden you discover that all of your friends are no longer around you. Well, we always say, that you find out who your real friends are, and you do. But if all your friends leave and there's no men around you to help, that also kind of says something about the friends that you're choosing to keep around you. We talk an awful lot about vetting and friends and whatnot, but we're kind of assuming that you yourself are an upstanding man that men want to be around. And if you're not, your friends are going to abandon you. I know it's a dark thing to say, and I'm not saying that, that Steve is wrong and that there won't be a man that comes around. In fact, that's actually usually when one shows up. But understand that if there's no one around to help you, and I'm not talking about cases where you are intentionally pushing people away. That's different. That's on you for being a douchebag. Okay. No, I'm talking about all your friends explicitly abandon you. They don't want anything to do with you anymore. Hmm.
Well, you're being tested,
Yeah.
and there is a way out. You can
Yes,
pass
there
the
is.
test. Okay, all your friends abandon you. Okay. Live another day. Uh, Go talk to some, Just be out and keep your eyes open. Someone will cross your path. Just be receptive.
And be willing to admit that you
Yeah.
might have to make a change yourself.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the end of the world. Doesn't need to be the end of your life.
Absolutely.
Keep your eyes open, one step in front of the other. We've all been at that darkest point where, guess I just have to carry on, plod on. I don't see any hope. I'm in despair. You just keep walking, and eventually,
Yep.
it gets better. But you
Been
can't
there.
do it on your own. You do need friends.
And as I discovered, it gets better a lot faster if you have good friends around you. It really does.
That's true. And guys, this is another reason why you don't need to be best friends with your woman. She won't build you up. She might not be there when crap hits the fan. And you're going to isolate yourself from good men that could really build you up and have your back and point crap out in your marriage, possibly for your good.
Oh,
You need friends.
another thought, Nick, you triggered. You have a woman who has a lot of beta orbiters, and you get rid of your friends. Who do you think is friends
Oh,
you're going to adopt?
hers.
Yes, gentlemen, do not make this mistake. Because those are not your friends. They're being friendly to you in the hopes that they can peel her off
Hmm.
away from you.
Interesting. Interesting dynamic. Hadn't thought
A little
about
bit more
that.
red pill. A little bit more red pill
Yep.
advice
Yeah.
for you guys.
Well, guys, any closing thoughts? I know we just kind of summed up most of everything, but
I'm good.
I'm good too.
and what are we doing next Monday?
I don't have a clue, but I have to come up with something.
Yeah, I'm still buried in my series, and the notes sheet is getting long. But we're going to have some fun, and there's a little bit of what we talked about tonight will come up, and we're going to, as I said, there's going to be a couple ideas that I didn't want to derail this show with, but we're gonna flesh them out. This is going to come up again, so I do want to thank
Okay.
you, Nick, for bringing this up.
One of these days, or one of these times, you know what? I'm not going to have anything to talk about, and I'll come up with something lame, and we'll actually end this after an hour instead of 2.
But it is
Guys,
not this day.
this conversation came up because again, I was on Pearl's show yesterday, and she's talking about should you marry your best friend, and I said no, and then that made me think of the importance of having good male friends. So this came up in about little more than 24 hours. So
We'll figure stuff out for you guys. Don't worry about
yeah,
it. And as we've said, we are trying to keep it a little lighter before the election, which is why all of my stuff is afterwards, because sadly I get a little dark. But so like it's some of our content now is going to be a little popcorny. Yes, we know that's by design. We are looking to give you guys a laugh a little bit for the next 2 weeks or so. So, yeah, let's have some fun. We'll have some fun with it.
okay. So tune in next Monday. Steve's going to be leading something. Then pretty soon, Plutarch will have a bunch of stuff for us. So, guys, please like and subscribe. Leave us comments. We like interacting with your comments. So,
And more than
thank you
anything
guys.
else, please share this video, please, with other men.
Yes.
I can guarantee you know a man out there who needs this message. Please share.
Yeah, because it's a rambly talk, but there's some truth in here. If you share it, you might end up saving a life.
Yep. All right.
All
We
right,
will
guys.
see you Monday.
Later.